And good evening, everyone, gamers across the world. Welcome to PM in the PM. That's right. It's Pong and Mav in the PM. Another Thursday night, February the 17th, already the midway point of February. Holy cow. Look, thank you all for joining us this evening. We've got, hey, look, the news is still rolling in. It ain't big as what we're used to lately around here, but we still got a lot of news to dive into. But we're happy that everybody joined us tonight here to discuss what we got going on in this games industry, the hottest industry in the world. So I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. And if you're not listening to it live right now, whatever day you're listening to, I hope you're having an awesome day as well. But got to get to my sidekick here. The man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Mav, fun speculation, however you want to call it. Hey, Mav, how you doing tonight, brother? How's your week going? What you been getting into? What's on your mind? Sit back, lay down, tell me your life story. Let's do this.
Well, Pong, it all started. No, man, we've been just having a week.
Yeah. having a week's one way to put it.
Yeah. So, we've just been getting stuff done. Got stuff going on. I've been really tired this last week, so I haven't been on gaming as much. I've been trying to stream more, but it's like at the same time, late nights ain't working right now, right? So that ain't happening. But other than that, man, I've just been dabbling and having some fun playing this and that, and just getting stuff done around here, man. It's been interesting times over here, but dude,
I understand.
This is a great time to be a gamer because we got a lot of big games coming out right now, like a lot. This is only February, and where we lacked in games in January, we gained in news, and huge news. And where we lack in maybe news right now, we're gaining in games, right? So we all win at the end of the day. And what about you, man? What you been up to, dude? Because we haven't had a chance to really talk too much this week.
Well, yeah, because again, I'm slowly but surely disappearing from social media, which isn't great as a podcaster, but real life calls. Yeah. And so I got to pay the bills. So job is job, right? So you got to get down to business, and things are getting crazy there. But of course, I had already started to, but obviously this week, jump back into Night City and Cyberpunk 2077. I am not one of those people, those fakers out there who all of a sudden decided that Cyberpunk is now a good game. We'll get into that. I have been on this train since day one. Everybody who's listened to me knows that. I have not hidden the fact. I called it my game of last generation, even though I cheated and played it on current gen. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I had already hopped back into Night City. And so obviously with the patch, been back into that. That's pretty much all I've had time for. I want to get back into Dying Light 2. I gotta play some more of that with you and Steel for sure, because we're having such a good time in there. It's such a great game. But really, it's been Cyberpunk, man. So that's where I've been. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get down to, man, for sure. And looks like we already got a super chat.
Ooh, I'll read that. John TJ, what's up?
John TJ, good man.
You want to read it, Pong? You want to read the super chat?
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No,
okay.
All right. No, you do it.
No, you do it. No, go. No. Tag, you're it.
Okay.
Go.
No, you do it. Okay, I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, John TJ, thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you, man. He says, Playground needs to stop being lazy and release new cars and first expansion. Lazy? Yeah, okay. Wouldn't necessarily call him lazy, but I appreciate the $10 super chat. However, yeah, I would love to see the expansion. When did the game come out? Was it September or October?
November.
Wow, yeah, it was November. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's only been out a few months. And usually these big expansions, when they drop the big ones, usually take a while. But the cars, yeah. I can't wait to see what all they release for this Forza Horizon. Because I think this Forza Horizon could potentially go on longer than we have seen from them in the past as well, potentially. So
yeah, for sure. I absolutely agree. I think so too. Look, the devs are in a tight spot right now. This is a bigger conversation too, Mav, is that, and I know I saw you again, I'm working so much, but I did see you and 3-Bit going back and forth about this kind of line of thinking that we see going on here, but this
Mhm.
is kind of new norm, man. Games are coming out and they're fixing the most important parts first because unfortunately a lot of games are coming out that have issues.
Yeah.
It's kind of, especially the bigger games, right? We're seeing that it's kind of become the new
But
norm.
they're all Halo's fault.
Right, they're all Halo's fault, right? So
Yeah.
we're going to get to that for sure too. And that's another great one. But at the end of the day, these devs are fixing the important things first, and Playground has worked a lot on the online. I know Steel still says it has its issues. Steel kind of dropped off
Yeah.
completely because he's an online guy. So if the online is broken, look, he ain't playing. For me, because I don't care about that, I've been playing consistently some Forza Horizon at least a couple times every couple weeks. I've been hopping back in and doing some stuff. But I think Playground is going to be, it's going to be a while. They got a lot on their plate between fixing what is wrong with Forza Horizon and obviously working on Fable at the same time. I know it's two separate teams. I get that fact, but let's be real. We know the teams are mixing and matching and they're pulling people and pushing people and saying, hey, can you help us with this? That's how it works within a studio. So it's not like they're in two different worlds completely separated. So I think that Playground is definitely going to get to it. Obviously, the success that they have had with Forza Horizon 5 is going to push them to, like Mav just said, keep this game going for an even longer period than they had first planned. So I think they're probably figuring out the roadmap and getting that ready. But I think we're going to see a lot of content out of this when it's all said and done, because they're going to want to keep this one going. This is an engagement title.
Yeah.
This is something that spread well beyond the normal Xbox fan base. We're talking about nearly 20 million people played at this point. So when it spread that far, that means you're pulling in people. So when people go to make that future purchase, when they find an S or an X, or they have a PlayStation 5 and they're making that decision, what ecosystem they want to drop in, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be a draw for sure. Yeah. So I think they're going to have bigger plans for this game in the long run. So yeah, definitely agree with you, Drawn TJ. I'd like to see some fresh stuff too, but let's give the devs a little bit of time, right? They got a lot going on right now. So
and
I definitely
they have another team making Fable, and we don't know exactly how they allocate like the teams.
That's
right
what I just now. That's what I just said. You know, they're pulling back and forth. It's not like they're separate worlds, and they're probably asking some of the Horizon team, hey, can you come help us real quick on this Fable thing we got going on? And vice versa, right? So there's going to be a lot of that mixing and matching between those two teams. I agree. So I have
a question for you though, just for off topic, just for the hell of it. Like we always get like these different fun expansions with Forza Horizon, like Lego, with I forget who else they had. Lego, and who else did they have? They had was it Hot Wheels? Yeah, they had Hot Wheels. Who would you like to see them team up with this time? You know what I mean?
Oh, I thought about that. Like, I don't know what you do. Like, honestly, because obviously Hot Wheels is doing their own thing now,
yeah,
right?
And it's great as well.
Yeah, you loved it. I haven't played it yet, but I know you liked it a lot, and a lot of people said a lot of good things about it. So I doubt Hot Wheels is going to want to dip back into that. I mean, they're kind of, they're going to want to make sure that everybody keeps, their game in the limelight, even though it's not really. But you know what I'm saying? They're not going to want to spread that wealth around. So if they can't do that, I mean, I've heard it suggested previously on Micro Machines. I wouldn't, I don't know how you would do it, but I'd love it to go back to the old racetrack days, the electric racetrack days where you're know what I'm saying, and try to figure that I used to build back in it, because at my time they were huge, right? My dad had one, and I go over to visit him. We'd build it up throughout his apartment. Like, he had massive tracks. But man, that, like, slot racers, I guess they used to call them. That would be kind of cool. I don't know how you do it though, but it'd be kind of sweet. I don't know, Mav. I really don't know. You got any ideas?
I have a couple that, like, I always rack my brain. Like, it'd be interesting to see them go into like some of like extreme sports like territory. Like, you do like dirt bikes and like, maybe like skis. Like, you could do like jet skis, right? You could do interesting things like this. Like, take it off the road a little bit with some different kinds of vehicles. It has been suggested motorcycles. Right,
I've said that for a while.
Yeah, you could have a whole thing just dedicated to motorcycles. They really did it up, right? Then the other thing is, this is just like a dream.
Yeah.
Transformers.
Bro, I was just going to say it as you were talking, brother. I don't know if I've heard you say, have you ever said it out loud before?
I've said it out loud, yeah, but it's always
okay, but I probably heard it at some point.
Okay, so
okay.
like I'm just thinking, you keep it those Gen 1 Transformers, the Autobots, you got those. I wouldn't even mind being able to fly as a Decepticon here and there, you know what I mean? Or, you could
well, now you're getting in crew territory.
You could have like you could have it on freaking Cybertron, and you got like freaking like
I agree.
Flying over you, like a Decepticon's flying, like shooting. There's like battles going on.
There's like battles going on around you. That'd be pretty sweet.
Dude. You have to get through obstacles before they blow up and stuff. I mean, dude, I'd just be insane. You could have like Optimus Prime like talking to you in your ear while you're like Jazz or Hot Rod or something. I mean,
bro, that'd be a gigantic kind of expansion. That'd be a lot of work, but it'd be cool. I agree wholeheartedly. I am all on board with that. That's legit. I must have heard you say it because the minute you were talking, all of a sudden it popped in my head, Transformers. I'm like, why not? Let's do it. Let's do it. That'd be so cool. Decepticons versus Autobots, like you said, having the battle scenes going off around you in that old.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could make it, man. I wonder if they could almost take it like the cell shaded way too.
Oh my god!
Kind of give it that Gen 1 feel.
Yes. You could have like, is it Barricade? That's the Decepticon cop.
Yeah.
You could have them like do like police faces and stuff. Oh my god!
$1 million ideas. Playground.
Yeah.
Call us. We're available for ideas. Let's go. Awesome idea. Oh man, that's pretty damn sweet. I like that. I like that sidetrack right there. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah,
man.
it's
all right,
John
cool.
TJ's fault. And speaking of John TJ's, he hit us with another $10 super chat. Dude. Super appreciate it, bro. He says, with the $10 super chat, he says, look, it's not like I hate them or anything, but with their track record, the expansion should have come out already. Plus, no 2022 cars, only 8 2021 cars. It's sad, but I understand. Yeah, I think part of it, again, like Pong said, is also, they've been patching a lot. Like our buddy Fuzzy Belvedere could go on for like a day about the different issues with the game that I had never really noticed too much of. I noticed some like day one stuff with the online, but that hasn't really been a problem for me since. But I don't really try and play with a big group of people. And now Forza Horizon games, traditionally, when I do try and play with a big group of people, I usually run into issues, right? So I think that is probably their focus is shifting to making sure the game's as optimized and as running as efficiently as possible, and then all this extra content's going to come for sure. But
I think, like I said, I'm pretty confident they're going to have some big plans in the works. Again, it's kind of hard to see where they're going to go from here, but knowing Playground, like John TJ just said, with their history, it's going to be good. You have to have good faith. I know not everybody liked every single one of the expansions, but personally, I did. I thought they were all fantastic. Even the ones that weren't like
they had the Storm
Lego.
one, like the Storm Island.
The Storm Island, Storm Island was fantastic. I love that. That was really fun. So definitely looking forward to that though. 100%. But let's get down to business here. A little Mav. Let's see who's joining us this evening because the chat is already lit. Oh my God, there's so many people in here already. Back from the dead. Good to see you. Luis Jimenez. Good to see you. Maddie Burns, brother. Always great to see you. Rick Payne is in the house joining us from the islands. He's an island boy. Rick Payne, good to see you. RDM, always good. Retro Nerd, of course, in here only on Xbox. Always joining the chat. Shizno Elite, my friend, fellow Cyberpunk lover. Good to see you, sir. Hamad is here as well. Robert Hart, great to see you. Invader Gaming, good to see you. Steel Rain, my brother from another, showing up in here.
He's nasty.
Good to see you. He's nasty, boys. Yeah, that's right. Island boy. All right, let's go. Rude boy, actually, we go with that one. Siki, good to see you. Geezer Prime, always a pleasure. The blue one showing his face in here. Jasper Gaming, aka Debbie Downer, aka the Lore Master, is in the house. Who else we got here? We got let's see. Caitlin, of course, is showing up. Did she do our thumbnail today?
Yes, she did. Yes.
Oh, Caitlin, thank you so much. It's an awesome, amazing thumbnail. So I love it. Spooky Sprocket, brother, always a pleasure to see you in here, sir. Great to have you back in this gang community.
Yeah.
Missed you. Outbreak Podcast. What's going on, Dave? Good to see you, sir. Who else we got in here? We got Boogeyman is in here. We got PTK Blam showing some love, showing up in here. Of course, the man who is the king of the shop podcast on Saturday nights with myself and Fuzzy. Join us over there. Getting a little plug in. Who else we got in here? Of course, Drawn TJ, who's been dropping the super chats already. Soul Khan is in the house. And Mav, it looks like we've got a nice $20 super chat from Bonasuth. And I apologize.
I'm gonna try. Let me give it a shot. Bonasuth Fumachith. Bonasuth Fumachith. I'm gonna.
We apologize if we absolutely butchered it. Obviously, not experts in names, so do apologize. But thank you so much. $20 super chat just says, "Hey guys, great to see you in here. Thank you for dropping in and your generosity. Always appreciate it." Nola Roggins is in here. We got Froggy T. Wright is in the house, of course, as well. I think I've caught up with everybody already in here. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Once again, this is something I look forward to. When Mav and I are having these weeks, man, where real life takes over, man, I look forward to these podcasts because they are just kind of an outlet, and don't get to talk as much as I normally would on social media and the DMs and that kind of stuff. So, man, got a lot pent up about this industry that I get out. So it's good to be here, and I appreciate you all showing up and wanting to listen to us and join in the conversations. Micah Ford, good to see you, brother. I see you in here. Hey, Mav.
What's up, man?
Where do you want to start? You want to just go straight into Speculation Town? Should we take everybody on a tour of Speculation Town with a little bit of news?
Yeah.
That showed up out of the blue today.
Where we headed in Speculation Town?
And we're going to go to the UBISOFT theme park. That's where we're going to go today.
UB World.
So we're going to UB World. Yeah, let's go with UB World. I like that. So out of the blue today, VGC, the good guys and gals over at videogameschronicle.com show up with an article. And Ubisoft with CEO Yves Guillemot had a little meeting with their investors. And out of that meeting came some quotes from Yves. And we all know the problems that Ubisoft had. There was other things this week reminding us of all the Activision-like problems that they have internally at Ubisoft. There was a new survey that went around that said that Ubisoft has not done anything really to fix what was wrong.
Is this after they gave their all their employees NFTs?
Yeah, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough, man. I don't know why. I mean, these ungrateful employees, all the HR problems
so much that they even gave the NFTs to their employees for their
Yeah, I mean, what a sweet bonus. I mean, who wouldn't like that? I mean, what do you get? How do you do that? Actually, I want to know how that happens.
It's just an email gift.
It's an email. Here's your NFT that you own.
It's probably
that's it. That's what you get. Yeah. Oh my God. Burn those emails. Okay. Anyways, so they came out of an earnings call, and obviously on an earnings call, you've got your investors there, and they asked Yves a bunch of interesting questions. So I'm just going to read this article. How long is it? It's not too bad. Well, let's give everybody kind of the breakdown if you guys haven't heard about this today. So again, it's from Video Games Chronicle. VGC.com. It was written by Andy Robinson over there. So Ubisoft has told investors it believes it can remain independent amid the recent trend of consolidation in the games industry. M&A, mergers and acquisition activity in the games industry, hit a record $85 billion in 2021. And has been forecast to reach $150 billion this year, with huge deals such as Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard and Take-Two's buyout of Zynga having already been announced in 2022's opening months. Asked in an earnings call on Thursday if Ubisoft believed it would be able to guarantee access to the various gaming platforms it releases its games on in the future, should it resist any of the consolidation happening in the industry, CEO Yves Guillemot said he believes it would. Quote, "We will continue to have access to all those platforms because all the platforms need great content. If we are continuing to do great content like we do today, we will be able to access all of those platforms," he said. No NFTs, Yves, no NFTs. Okay. Quote, "If we look at Nintendo, we are the number one third-party publisher on it. Nintendo is interested in everything we do, and we are even developing games with their brands. So the collaboration exists, and it is very fruitful." The exec said he believed Ubisoft could remain independent, but that any offers to buy the company would be reviewed in the interest of its stakeholders. Quote, "We have always taken decisions in the interest of our stakeholders, which are our employees, players, and shareholders. Ubisoft can remain independent. We have the talent, the financial scale, and a large portfolio of original IPs," Guillemot added. Having said that, if there were an offer to buy us, the board of directors would, of course, review it in the interest of all stakeholders. CFO Frederic Deguy added later in the call, "We will," quote, "we will not speculate on why people haven't made any offer, Guillemot. We won't speculate on any, okay, we will not speculate on why people haven't made any offer," Guillemot added, "or if any offer was made." Deguy continued to say, "What we can say is we have high value assets. We have the scale to remain independent and create very meaningful value in the future because we have scale in terms of our workforce, engineering, technology, IPs, and engaged communities. That's why we are able to serve so many platforms today with such high quality content. Of course, we won't speculate anymore on any potential interest in buying Ubisoft." All right, Mav. So a lot there as far as quotes go, but basically what I gathered, and I'll obviously ask you what you gathered out of here, is like, hey, we are happy to remain Ubisoft independent.
We
got
can
plenty going on.
Ubisoft independent, but we may not remain Ubisoft.
we got plenty of content. We're doing okay over here, but if somebody wants to come over with a great offer, we'll certainly listen. Right? That's what I got of it. Mav, what did you think when you saw this article? Just your initial thoughts, and then we'll get into speculation town and kind of take a look at who fits with a potential Ubisoft acquisition. What were your first thoughts, man?
My first thoughts is it sounds a lot different than the Ubisoft that fought off Vivendi.
Yeah, for sure.
It sounds a lot different than that Ubisoft. This Ubisoft seems a little bit more open to the idea. You know what I mean? It's like, look, we'll consider it. We'll review the offer. And for me, what this means, like, it all depends on how big the offer is, right? They're saying they got all these assets, they got all this stuff. They're saying they can remain independent. They're putting it out there. Again, they know these earnings calls and all this stuff is going to get out to the public as well, right? We're putting out there. We don't need to sell. We can remain independent if we want to. We're big enough. We got enough assets. We got enough going on. We don't need to. What do you think that they could potentially be hoping that this may cause? Is sending a message that, hey, we're not gonna go for cheap. Maybe improve offers out there if there are any existing, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if there hasn't already been discussions between Ubisoft and who knows who else, right? And they're sending the message out there, I think, that, hey, we don't got to do this, but we can, and or we'll consider it if the opportunity is right. It may basically mean if the paycheck is right, because they're going to review it with what's in the best interest of their shareholders. So it's gonna, for me, with whether all the stuff going on in the space, something's gonna eventually happen. Like, you don't even really talk about too much stuff like this unless there's something that it's like inevitable at some point, unless something else happens. Like what do you foresee? I want to ask you like the most
Yeah.
likely scenarios down the line, because consolidation is a thing.
Oh yeah.
It's happening. All these big companies, you have Activision, Blizzard, all this stuff. I saw another report that it's estimated that there could be $150 billion worth of mergers and acquisition in
Yeah,
the gaming
that was in that
space.
article. Yeah.
And there's been 80 something this year already,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So that leaves up another 70 billion of consolidation type or mergers and acquisitions. So do you foresee potentially, because we talked a little bit before, like them getting bought out by like an Amazon or a Microsoft or
Mhm.
a Sony, or do you see more of a merger type situation for them?
Yeah. So both, both potentials. Look, right now it's a seller's market. That's why you see Ubisoft
Yeah.
putting out the signal that, hey, just because we fought off Vivendi, that's not the same space we're in here,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden the money's changed.
Yeah,
right.
the money's
All of a sudden,
better now.
yeah, that money's a lot better now. Look, year ago, February of 2021, their stock was at about $73 a share. Okay. They're sitting at about 44. So that was obviously pre all the problems and issues that we found out about last year. Right. So they're in the same boat as Activision right now. They're sitting at $44. They would love somebody like a Microsoft to come in and bump that stock price back up for all the shareholders, give them fair value. So again, you probably their market cap today, I was looking at it, is about 5.5 billion right now. Somebody would have to come in, and I think you would have to offer them somewhere around that $70 share price. And I think you would have to give them the freedom that we see Microsoft give, ZeniMax, Bethesda, and also what they're talking about doing with Activision Blizzard, which is publishing freedom to continue to do business, right? The way that they've always done it. I think those are going to be major factors here. So you're talking about a $7 to $8 billion purchase, somewhere in that neighborhood, I think would get the deal done. Maybe a little bit more if they're overvaluing themselves. If you go back further, they peaked back in 2018 at about $100 a share. So depending on how they value their IP, and they've got a lot of it, okay, no doubt about it. There is a lot. Oh, there's a lot of companies who are licking their chops right now. So let's take a look at potentials. Obviously, Microsoft is a potential, but that would be something down the road. It would have to be 2023,
it's not
maybe even into 2024. No, it's not going to happen anytime soon. People know this, right? They have a window of opportunity with Microsoft tied up in the Activision Blizzard, that if somebody out there is serious right now about getting another big publisher with a lot of IP like Ubisoft, this is going to be the time, while Microsoft has kind of got their own hands tied right now, right? This is going to be you got to make your move. That's why I think that the potentiality of this year is certainly out there if somebody is that interested. So acquisitions, straight out acquisitions. Sony makes a ton of sense with the moves that they're currently making. It would be a big purchase for Sony Corp. Okay. There's no doubt about it. Is it out of the realm of possibility? Absolutely not. $8 billion is not out of the realm of possibility for Sony. It would fill a whole lot of needs that they have right now in fitting into also their future and what Jim Ryan's been talking about over there, going beyond the console. Ubisoft would make a lot of sense right now. And this would not be an acquisition to pull everything off of other platforms. This would be an acquisition for the future, for all those IPs, for the movies, TV shows, all the stuff you could create out of that Ubisoft properties. There's a lot there, Mav. A lot, brother. You're talking about bringing back Splinter Cell. You're talking about the Assassin's Creed, just continuing on. Sony's got to be looking for sure. I think Sony definitely makes a lot of sense. Amazon, again, always waiting in the wings. They just had another success with Lost Ark. Now they published it. They didn't make it, but they published it with Smilegate. They're getting a taste of what it's like to succeed in this industry. The more tastes they have, the bigger that appetite becomes. Okay. Amazon at some point, as they watch this consolidation happen, unless they believe they can build studios from scratch, which we all know is not an easy task, unless they believe they are up to that, They're going to have to jump in before all the good stuff is gone. Ubisoft makes a lot of sense if Amazon's going to jump into the pool, the deep end with both feet and go all in on this. Ubisoft would be a giant shot across everybody's bow. It would be a gigantic pickup for them. It would give them credibility instantaneously with those IP. Okay. Yep. They could not be ignored at that point. So Amazon is definitely there. The thing I told you about behind the scenes here, Matt, right, we were talking, though, I think for me, as I was thinking about it, a merger would make more sense.
Yeah.
A merger between EA and Ubisoft to create one hell of a powerful publishing house.
Yep.
EA and Ubisoft merging together, man, oh man, you're talking about philosophies very close to lining up. Ubisoft has been kind of trying to figure out that EA philosophy for a long time. EA, while they started down the wrong path and still have a lot of major issues, which we're going to talk about, obviously, with Battlefield coming up here, they have some major issues, but they've also shown that they've understand now that there is another way to go about this, and that the single player game is not dead. That's why they're giving Vince Zampella so much power over there, right? So EA has shown signs of adjusting course. So merging those two together with all that IP, oh, you got yourself one secure company who is going to dictate some of the biggest third-party IP out there, from sports games to single-player action-adventure games to games as a service. You're talking about one major company by doing that. We're talking about it, whatever you're gonna call it, electronic Ubi, or whatever the case may be. Man, oh man, they're setting themselves up for the future, right? And that would get themselves that combined talent between those two as well. They would not have to worry about outside forces coming in and disrupting things. They could go on to, as that one big company, make some other purchases to fill in a little bit. And you'd be talking about a publisher that, despite all the consolidation out there, they would survive it all. And they would be a main supplier of content for all the big players involved in this industry going forward. That one's the one that makes the most sense to me. Matt, you shoot. What do you got lined up? What do you think, brother?
I don't know. I think they're vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go and look at the industry, right? I was looking at their market cap and I was comparing it to last year. In 2021, around this time, they had a market cap of 12.77 billion US.
Yep.
Right now, US 6.36 billion.
Yep.
That's half.
Yep.
They have, and now a lot of this lines up with a lot of the, news that's gotten out about all the stuff in their offices and all these things. But they took like a 50% plummet from a year ago. Whereas even if you go back as far as like into 2018, they were at 12.4. And they've had ups and downs, since then. Yep. It could go up again. All it takes is one big game, one great year, to really have that. But right now, I think they're in a vulnerable spot, much like Activision Blizzard was, right?
Yep.
Right now, with the way the market cap is, it's still a huge acquisition. I mean, because you're not spending, that's not what you're spending to acquire them. You're spending more than that. You're probably spending closer to 10, if not more. But these shareholders might be willing to cash out if it's a good enough deal. And there's going to be a lot of players at that value that could be in play for them. And you're not talking about just the major platform holders, right? Sony could do it as well. You could, but you could also see those companies like Take-Two or EA or something, really make a play. And it'd be interesting to see. Now, part of consolidation could be like what we've been seeing so far is where we have like Sony making a lot of acquisitions. We see, Xbox making a lot of acquisitions, Microsoft. I mean, but we could also see like Embracer Group step in here as well, something like that. Like, could
that'd be outside the norm, but you're right. They could.
And they could, man. At that point, you know what they would be going by? They'd probably be a Ubisoft, right? and change the name and everything under Embracer Group at that point be called Ubisoft. I could make you could foresee a lot of things here, right? Because there's so much potential with what they would be acquiring for that value.
Yeah.
Just in the IP alone, we're talking about Lord of the Rings going for like what anywhere like up to
2.5 billion.
yeah, 2 to 5 billion, anywhere between
Yeah.
there, right? That's just for one IP. Now it's a huge, massive IP, but
Right.
you know, you talk about Ubisoft. I mean, you got the whole Clancy brand, all the franchises that belong with that. You got Assassin's Creed, you got Prince of Persia, right? You got Rayman. There's way
Got
more.
you got all the Tom Clancy there, man. That's crazy. Like,
Yes.
what to bring back and start making movies again, right? We saw some success on the TV show side of things on Amazon. Man, if somebody that was in the position to take advantage of that IP, you're talking about a lot of other consideration outside of just the gaming realm, which is, again, what we talked about, Mav, that IP going forward as this entertainment industry changes, the IP that you can use across all different types of content, movies, TV, books, gaming, that IP is going through the roof in terms of value, because everybody's starting to see how they can make all this money off of turning that IP, not just from gaming, but turning it into all this other stuff as well. That's huge, man. That's huge. The other thing I want to bring you back to real quick, Mav, expound upon Take-Two a little bit here. That reminded me when you said that, Mav, because I didn't even consider Take-Two in my head, and I should have, but I didn't even think about it. But Strauss Zelnick just came out when they asked him about the Activision Blizzard deal, right? And if it would affect him. And he said, no, we just see, we just see it as, what do you say? See it as we will be one of the two biggest publishers in the industry, is what he said after that deal went through. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but basically he made it sound like they are already planning on being like the number 2 biggest publisher in the gaming industry. Brother, Ubisoft underneath Take-Two.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, the thing about Ubisoft is they got one of their biggest assets is development talent.
Yeah.
Even if you go beyond the IPs, which is already super valuable, you got development talent a lot, and that's why like a lot of these games they come out, there's not a lot of complaints about the games when they come out, because the games are usually actually play really well and do really well, and they're well made, even if we don't agree with some of the models they're putting in their games, right? The games are well made. So for me, like, we can speculate on all these different things that the way it could end up, right? But for me, I want what I think would be best for us as a consumer and the IPs. And for me, that's either, again, Sony or Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, it's either one. Now, the best bet even there would be Xbox, just because of Game Pass, right? Again, you get
of
more
course,
games into Game Pass, but PlayStation has Spartacus coming as well. So we don't know exactly how they're going to handle that, and with the games and when they're going to be in the services and all that kind of stuff. But both of those companies, you can see getting great single player games and great multiplayer games, and a wide variety of content coming out of all those studios, and the IP being utilized heavily. Xbox, 100%. Sam Fisher's mascot number 2 on the Xbox, maybe number 3 with Marcus Phoenix, Master Chief, and Sam Fisher, right? If that happened, Sony would all of a sudden have have their first person shooters and have all that stuff ironed out right away, right? Immediately, in one fell swoop on that console, you have taken care of multiple shooters, third person and first person and multiplayer in that acquisition, if that took place. So I could foresee a fit on both platforms, and I would be completely happy with either of those scenarios. The other scenarios where we are more nervous about would be like a Tencent or like Amazon, just because we don't know if they're going to be relegated only to PC gaming and cloud.
PC and Luna. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And at that point, like console gamers don't really gain that much. I am still curious eventually if Amazon is going to start putting any of their games onto consoles. If that happens, then it's a different game at that point. And at that point,
because then they're looking at becoming, because then at that point they're looking at becoming a publisher more than anything, right?
Yeah.
And So that would be okay. Like I don't have a problem with that. I still think they got their eyes on Sony at some point, but yeah, no, you're right. There is a couple that we don't want, but yeah, the Sony one makes so much sense, and only on Xbox. Look, that whole narrative of Sony being broke and can't afford these purchases. Look, throw that out the window. Okay. Yes, they have a lot of debt. Okay. There's no doubt about it, but that doesn't mean they can't go and acquire stuff. And they will, especially if they're looking towards the future and PlayStation becomes more and more heavy as their main source of income. They're going to be all in on PlayStation. They're trying to do this car thing as well. Like they're trying to diversify again. They're trying to get their electronics back on track again. But PlayStation being their main one, they will invest and they can go raise capital if necessary. They could buy a Take-Two if they really wanted to. Okay. That's not out of the realm of possibility. So that's why the Bungie deal came to fruition. Right. So that's why, 3.6 billion is nothing to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Sony, that whole Sony's broke thing, they can't afford to do this. They can
figure out a way. Like there's so many different ways
they can raise capital.
Yeah,
yes.
To do things like that. And you're also, when you're acquiring revenue as well. Right. So like all these deals kind of don't shake out exactly how they just look when you say acquisition for 70 billion. It doesn't like work out exactly like that. There's a lot of companies like mergers take place. I mean, EA was potentially looking at Activision Blizzard, something going on there, and Activision Blizzard is worth way more than EA, right? Like this was these were in serious talks, right?
Yep.
So anything's possible. It's just different ways of making it happen with these different companies and different kinds of deals where you might see, like before, how Activision Blizzard formed, right? Activision and Blizzard, right? And all of a sudden they're Activision Blizzard, right? You have this happen with a lot of different companies, and I think that if it was a merger, like with the EA or like a different company, like let's say Embracer decided to step outside the box and do something crazy like that, or any of these other publishers, there'd be those ones. I think you'd see Ubisoft in the name more. Whereas, like, if it was like a Sony or an Xbox, you would have like Ubisoft as a subdivision at that point, just like Activision Blizzard is, Bethesda ZeniMax is, right? So we'll see how it all shakes out, man. I think it's a matter of time, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's what this is telling me, because if you're one of these gaming companies, just like Xbox took advantage of the Activision Blizzard thing, with their loss of market cap, and it became more obtainable. There's companies looking at just in a year, half of the value of Ubisoft, right? So you could get them for way cheaper than you would have a year ago, and that's crazy to think right now in this landscape. So somebody's gonna step in, and we'll see if who's gonna offer the most. And I think that part of the market cap may be why Yves is sending this message that we're not gonna sell for as cheap as people may think. Right?
Yeah. No, there's going to be a premium for sure.
I think they want to probably look at a year ago we're worth 12 billion. We're going to get back up there. Our market's gone up and down, so we should be worth at least that plus more, right? So they're probably trying to sell themselves and make it seem like they don't need anybody, when all of those shareholders want to cash out, probably. So we'll see.
And whoever does, again, the other side of this, Mav, is that whoever does has got a lot of work to do internally. There's got to be a big culture shift. I don't know how it would work, because we know that Yves Guillemot and that family, they've held on. They fought off Vivendi because they didn't want to give it up. Are they willing to give it up? Are they willing to relinquish to allow somebody to come in to change that culture? That's going to be it's another big project, just like Activision Blizzard. That's what I'm saying. They had, right, according to their employees and former employees, right?
Yeah, I know they've let some people go and stuff, but like still,
not enough. Not enough.
It's not. You have to have a complete shift of the way you do things, right? Inside and out. A refocus on how you orchestrate things, and this also goes beyond that. Like that's the main focus and the worst part of all of it, is that's number one, attention. But it goes beyond that for me with Ubisoft, to where the structure of their model of how they, the decisions that go into the games that they make, their decision process there. And Yves Guillemot has been very outspoken on this in interviews. I've heard him numerous times about the things that they look at when they talk about making games. I know for a fact, based on conversations we've had with people that have actually had inside knowledge on this stuff, that they pretty much ignore the developers and what everything that they want to do, and instead only focus on the stuff that they know has the biggest value proposition long term for them. And creatively, that's not great for devs and to be able to make great games, right? A lot of the passion gets lost out. You see things like X Defiant show up, right? You see things like Skull and Bones get lost in the shuffle for 6-7 years, keep transitioning until they figure out a model that works.
All they had to do was make Black Flag.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do, Mav. That's all they had the whole formula. Everybody would have been happy just to sail around the 7 seas like in Black Flag, add some ports, add some fun, cool things, add some PvP. That's all you had to do. You had it all laid out
and make it a pirate game.
Yep. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do.
100%. It's like crazy. Now it's going to be some multiplayer focused thing, which is like a lot of us said. That also came out of that earnings report, right? And their focus is like become so much about just the trend of the industry and less about creativity and passion for what they're creating. There's some glimmers of hope with Splinter Cell and some other things that they're doing, but this goes beyond like when something was successful in one game, they forced it into every other game, right? And you see a lot of copy and paste formulas in their approach because that's what's popular in the industry right now. And he's even said that. He's said that in an interview years ago. I heard him say that none of the developers want to make a Splinter Cell because everybody wants to make open world games right now. That's what's popular. That's what sells. When that's complete BS, because a lot of the developers we've heard for years have been trying to get a Splinter Cell game kicked off. And the only reason it had not previously is because they could not figure out a way to formulate it into their open world approach, right? And now the fact that everything is shifting away from the open world approach into this games as service, free to play type model, that's where most of their stuff's going. And I think maybe hopefully there's room now for some other single player type focused content. And so maybe we can have a little bit of best of both worlds, but I'm worried about the future for Ubisoft unless somebody does actually acquire them that has some better thought processes into what the gamers are actually looking for with their games.
The good news is they've done a lot of it's good news, bad news, because we don't want to see everything go to necessarily games of service. We don't want to see Assassin's Creed, but we know they're doing that already. And that's partly the good news is that they have worked on that future. So somebody looking at them is not going to see stale IP, right? Somebody looking at them is going to see potential, especially in today's market. As much as we hate to admit it, everybody's looking for that next big, games as a service that's going to be the moneymaker. Right. And you're going to look at an Assassin's Creed and see that
single player
roadmap.
Focused game, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's my thing here is the single player, like multiplayer. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. It makes a ton of sense. We've talked about it.
It makes no sense to me. I don't know.
Right. But, that's the thing. So people looking at them are going to see all that potential. And somebody, hopefully, if this does go down and Ubisoft is, underneath somebody else's umbrella, at the end of the day, I just hope it's somebody that has some creative thinking, like Phil, and sees the potential in the IP. And if you want to take Assassin's Creed to a games of service, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But also have the creative thought process of, hey, Assassin's Creed is well known as a single player stealth action driven game. Let's go back to that also. Give the people at least a smaller, even if it's a smaller experience, let's give them that, keep that going as well. And we can do both, right? I'd love to see that creativity. And obviously, my biggest thing is if somebody does make that move in the next year or so, you better give that Splinter Cell team everything they need. And don't you dare thinking about canceling that Splinter Cell game now that we gotten this close. Okay.
Yes, please.
Whatever you do, don't pull the Splinter Cell game. So that's all I'm going to ask. Oh man. God, I love speculation.
That's priority. That's the major priority. Just I don't care what else you do. Don't touch that game. Just make sure it's good. Yes. Give that team all the resources they need, please. The chat was making good points too here as well. I was looking about, you know, if Sony were to acquire Ubisoft, then does that make Square and somebody else like more available for other acquisitions from other companies? Because like Sony may have to pick and choose here, as opposed to, you know, some other of these bigger companies like Amazon or Microsoft, where they can acquire multiple of these large publishers, right? So there's some, you know, there's going to be like some strategery. There's going to be some strategy going on. There's going to be some strategy going on with a lot of these companies, and like, who do we go after? Who do we approach? Who do we leave off the table? Not a good fit. Or because they can't acquire everybody, right? So it's going to be interesting to see who teams up with who here, because it's going to be an interesting few years ahead for sure.
It is definitely. I heard 3-Bit, who just showed up in the chat, and his family are actually going to buy Ubisoft.
Yeah, let's go 3-Bit.
Yeah, 3-Bit's going to be the buyer. He's going to get in there and get it done.
He just moved into wholesale changes, so he's going to run the operations from his house. And maybe he's making the new Splinter Cell game, and we don't even know it. Maybe it's maybe it's a single dev project.
No, knowing him, he would not tell his best friends, us, at all. Yeah. At all. And he would giggle when it came out. I know he doesn't. That's why we can talk about this stuff. That's why we can talk about this stuff, though.
We can pretend like he still does. We can pretend.
Exactly. Yep. See, he said I would love to buy Ubisoft. Yeah. That's a hint. That's a hint.
What would you do with Ubisoft, 3-Bit, if you bought them?
We know there'd be a mass firing day. I can tell you there'd be a Black Friday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
3-Bit's got his list. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, that's
for sure. Oh man. Well, that was a great first topic. Mav, Speculation Town. Everybody enjoyed the tour, I hope. Man, we have had a lot of good people jump in here too. 3-Bit jumped in here. Obviously, we got Nico in the house. We got Droid Master here. Micah Ford, I think I said hi to you earlier. Hyper TTK is in the house. I saw P Firebird 77 in here. Solcon, I think I got you before. Patman Jones Effect is in the house here as well. General Spartan 27, always good to see you. Relzer showed up. Tony Grasso, of course, brother here. Alvin is here. Alvin! All right, Alvin's in the house. Boom showed up. Boom, good to see you, brother. Mr. Boomstick, who just put out a great unboxing demonstration video on, what is it called? Is it iScreen? What is it called? It's you. What's the screen called, Mav?
Oh, X screen.
X screen. Thank you. God, I could not remember that. He just put out a great video on the X screen peripheral for the Series S. So please go check that out when you got a chance. If you guys are interested in that. Siki is in here as well. The Last Dragon showed up. Let's see here. And Gleron Vemley. Hope again I didn't butcher your name at all. But yeah, no, we had some great conversations in there. I think a lot of people were on board with the Jigga J showing up in here. Jigga, good to see you, brother. A lot of good conversation. I think everybody was in agreement that just no 10 cent, please. No 10 cent. Please keep them out of this. These companies got to block them out from buying any more stuff. We do not need that influence in this industry any more than it already is felt. So I agree wholeheartedly. But Mav, we were talking about potential EA Ubisoft merger. And speaking of EA, they're up to their old tricks. Just like I give them credit where credit's due. But when they go back to the old EA stuff, I've also got to call them out. And they had a conversation about what's wrong with Battlefield.
Yeah, a town hall.
A town hall.
The last time I remember hearing something about an EA town hall, it was regarding Anthem. So it sounds how bad this is.
Right. Well, we know they had their investor call. They didn't even talk about it. They didn't even talk about the sales numbers. They refused to divulge the sales numbers. Look, Battlefield fan here. Mav, also a Battlefield fan as well.
Guilty.
I paid $120 for the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
Okay. Day one. Okay, out the gates. But if you have listened to us long before the launch, I expressed my concerns. Mav had his concerns. Mav had a lot of concerns after the beta.
Yeah.
So again, we got Battlefield fans here, just full disclosure, but at the same time, prior to launch, I did say I was worried about this. Okay, that this was a possibility of happening. So anybody who doesn't know, I'm sure you all do. Anybody listening to us, I'm going to assume you know the Battlefield 2042 struggles. Okay, some of it were legit, some of it some big problems, some of it just kind of the whole band jumping on the bandwagon of hate kind of thing as well. But be that as may, at the end of the day, we've heard behind the scenes, people have talked about it. I tend to believe it. The devs went and asked EA and DICE and said, hey, got to give us some more months.
6 months, I heard they asked.
Yep, 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months is what I've heard. 3 to 6 months is what I've heard. They've asked for that. They were given 3 weeks. Okay. I don't know how many more stories we have to go through like this, Mav. I am so frustrated with this stuff. Why do people? Okay, let me read this. We'll get to that in just a second. Let me get down to the text. So anyways, They had a town hall and they had chief operating officer. They call her chief studio officer in this article. She used to be the chief studio officer, but she has moved up in the ranks. She's been with EA for over 14 years. She is now chief operating officer. So she is very high up, unless she got demoted and didn't update her LinkedIn, but she used to be chief studio officer. But Laura Mealy, I think I'm going to go with Mealy, Miele. She was answering questions about the failure of Battlefield 2042. And she had some very, very, very interesting quotes come out of that. So Mealy listed several contributing factors, including struggles with the game's Frostbite engine. How? You guys developed this engine.
Yeah.
Anyways, struggles with the game's Frostbite engine, the early launch of Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and problems presented by the pandemic. Yeah. Quote, add up all of this new innovation, all of this ambition for the new project, and then you add a global pandemic halfway through the project where the game teams had to work from home, and we ended up with more new variables in development than we had ever experienced before, said Mealy. Okay, so that was her explaining that, right? But I want to focus on the Halo stuff here. She blames the early launch of Halo Infinite as one of the major hurdles for Battlefield.
And the polish. She blamed the polish.
The polish. Like, bro, we're gonna get man. I have so much. This is gonna carry over into Saturday's Living Split Screen. Let me tell you. Look, this shit is crazy to me. This is ridiculous coming from somebody this high up in EA. Again, I praise EA because I've seen signs putting Zampella in charge of things, including now in charge of DICE to try to fix this mess.
Yep.
Give them all the credit in the world, right? We're getting more Star Wars games. Look, they're doing a lot of things right. They show these signs of getting it. But then you have somebody this high up, the chief operating officer, somebody who's been in this industry well beyond her time and even at EA. And she's 14 years at EA. She has been through the wars. Okay. This lady should know this industry inside and out. And she comes out with the blame game, Mav, blaming the early launch of Halo, which they freaking knew was coming. They might not have known the date, but they knew it was coming. Yeah. Blaming, like you said, the polish of Halo.
Yeah.
Their game just was too. Their game was just so good out the gates. We didn't expect that. We thought we could slide by with ours.
Yeah,
that's what you're telling me.
I got this quote. It says, however, Battlefield was then affected by the launch of Halo Infinite, Mealy said, as unfavorable comparisons were made between the Xbox shooter and Battlefield 2042. with Halo perceived as a much more polished title?
I wonder why that is. Maybe because they took the time, they took a whole year to polish things, and the multiplayer was supposedly already in a good spot, and they still gave the team another year to fix it. Exactly what your teams that we're hearing at DICE were asking for, more time to make sure their game was right. Okay, I'll let you go, Mav. You go on this, and then I'll come back around to this. But my God, Mav, when you're reading these quotes, when you hear the blame game from somebody this high up at EA for their problems that they created themselves in all aspects, Mav, give it to me. What are you thinking while you're reading this stuff, man?
All right. So I made a video on this today as well, because I think that
Yes, you did. You did make a video. Everybody go check it out.
there's a lot to unpack here in the statements, right? Yes, they're blaming Halo for being a good game and making them look bad.
Just resign.
Just unpack
Just resign.
that for a second. Just unpack that for a second. Like, if they hadn't had such a polished game, then we wouldn't be looked at so negatively, right?
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this up.
So now, granted, that statement was followed by others where they go into saying that this model of releasing and then fixing later isn't going to work anymore. So that's a positive that we can take away from this. Okay. Now, the question I have here is a bigger question, because this, like, the whole blame thing is like absolutely stupid, and like really what they are doing is blaming themselves for not being as good as Halo, for being as polished as Halo and other games that are out there. Right now, if y'all have been following me, you know that I don't have as much issues with Battlefield 2042 as most, right? But it does have bugs. Now the problem is, in this day and age, like, a multiplayer game you're launching at $60 to $70 at least, you can't launch it in this day and age now and expect the same forgiveness that we've always had in the past. Every Battlefield game I've ever played at launch has been riddled with a ton of bugs. And she goes on to say she believes player expectations have changed with respect to live service games, and so the previous model of shipping it and patching it later no longer flies. She acknowledged the company historically had bug issues with DICE games at launch, but said the bug count for Battlefield 2042 fell into the range EA expected when compared to other launches. Me and you have talked about this. It's like, for us, like, bug wise, it was about normal, right? The company therefore believed the issues would be manageable. In the past, it would have been. This game in the past would have launched, in my opinion, and people would have still been playing it or received its patches and gone on, just like Battlefield 5, Battlefield 4, Battlefield, all the other Battlefields I've ever played. That's where I was always coming from before, as in, like, hey, has nobody else ever played a Battlefield game at launch? They're always broken. Like, but they always do get better. The problem here is now, because of the way that the fans are and the way the industry is, and with all these other games out there to play, like, just think about the shooter space. It's no longer you're just worried about COD this year and potentially a Halo and potentially some other random game or something. Right now, we're thinking about Apex is ongoing, right? Warzone is ongoing. Halo Infinite now is ongoing. These are all free. These are all free experiences that are way more polished than what you're charging $60 to $70 for. And it's only multiplayer. So if you launch a game at $60 to $70 and it has bugs, and you expect people that are playing these games that they perceive to be better for free to be forgiving, I don't think so. Not in this day and age. It doesn't work anymore. So you have to look at it and be like, okay, well, what did Halo do right? Halo went with a free-to-play model, and then they made a smaller focus on the amount of content they had at launch, just like Apex did, just like Warzone did, just like a bunch of other games did that are in the free-to-play model. if my personal opinion, if Battlefield had done that, if they had shifted focus to make sure they launched something that works, as polished, you don't have to at that point have a perceived value of $60 to $70 and cram all this stuff in and rush your devs and come out with something in like 3 years and then it's going to be broken and then fix it later, because that's what they used to do. It's not going to work anymore, right? At that point, now you can launch something that is very polished and great, give players free access to it, and build up over time. And if it sucks, guess what? It didn't cost the players anything. That's one of the reasons the free-to-play model has been working with shooters. Low barrier of entry. When people see all these reports of bugs out there, you think they're wanting to spend 60, 70 bucks? The people that waited a day or two? I don't think so. And then you go and after that, you blame Halo, one of the ones that did it sort of right. Halo's got its problems. But you blame Halo, one of the ones that sort of did it right. If Halo launched with the amount of content that it had, multiplayer wise, and it was only multiplayer, and it was 60 to 70 bucks, it would have been absolutely trashed. Absolutely trashed. But it didn't. In this day and age going forward, what is our realistic expectation of these big, massive multiplayer shooters? I don't know if it's even realistic anymore to be able to expect them to take 5, 6, 7 years and make a game and then drop it. Us all spend 60, 70 bucks on it, and then they just start working on the next one again. I don't know if it's going to work anymore. And I think that's a part of this. I think is them coming to that realization. Now it's too little too late on this game. They went with that approach. They went with that model. They failed to deliver at launch. It's hurting them big time. What can save them is Game Pass. It's true. You got Game Pass coming. Drop it in there sooner than later. Make sure you have a patch ready, a big update, so you can market it well with that drop. It's an EA Play game. It's going to be an EA Play. So that means it will be in Game Pass eventually. I say put it in there sooner than later, because if you do go and you switch this model of this game now, it's retroactive. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. You know what I mean? Like you go through and you like say, oh, everybody that paid for it, sorry guys. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. So I'm really curious what the future is going to hold. I think they can salvage it, but to go and blame a game for being good as for your failures, it's utterly ridiculous. And absolutely like stupid. And I can't believe it actually. Like when I saw that, I was like surprised. I was just like laughing like out loud. I was like, oh my God, like are you? Because it's not only the launch. I mean, the launch thing is another aspect. It shouldn't matter. You know how many other free-to-play shooters are out there? Everybody's playing Lost Ark right now, too. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff. Like Crossfire X, right? It's free-to-play, but guess what? It dropped. It sucked. Nobody's playing it. Right? So you got to be good as well. Right? So you can't just blame the launch of the game. If Halo came out and sucked, then nobody would have been playing it. But it's more polished, and that's the key aspect to take away from this. I'm just hoping that they've learned something from the situation. What do you think, Pong? I mean, I don't know. There's so much to unpack, dude.
There is so much. Well, let's we just heard today that obviously the refund that everybody's asking for,
207,000 people.
207,000 people have signed the petition for refunds of Battlefield 2042. Now, I'm not one of them, okay? For me, I'm old school. The risk is always there. When you buy a game, the risk is there. I don't like the precedent set just because we don't like a game. We're going to ask for a refund. Again, I understand why people are upset, but this game is not like broken where you can't play the game, okay? This game is definitely playable. Enjoyed the heck out of what I've played. It has gotten better and better as it's gone on, just like DICE games always do. And again, we can have that discussion about whether that's right or wrong, that we just okay devs doing this. In this case here, there's blame to go all the way around, but I definitely think if it's true, and again, we'll never know internally what was going on, but we've heard enough stories now that, again, we're going to go underneath the assumption that it's true. If it's true that the devs went and asked for 3 to 6 more months and they were given 3 weeks, that, just like Cyberpunk, is on upper management. Okay. Again, here's my biggest frustration, Matt, is that you and I can sit back as everyday gamers who've just been gaming for a long time. We are not people making millions of dollars as the heads of these companies, right? And there's probably a reason why, right? There's probably a reason why. There's a lot to this. I get that. I'm not, but I'm playing armchair CEO all the time when we get in these conversations.
I should have stayed in school.
We were right. I should have stayed in school, and I should have just gone directly into video games, and I should have made my way up.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how we here as gamers, as people, can sit back months before the launch of Battlefield, right? You, me, Steel, Psychonauts, 3-Bit, everybody who's been involved, right? Boom, everybody. And have these conversations and look at the big picture and say, if Battlefield, first of all, Battlefield's taking a big chance launching at the same time of Call of Duty and Halo, okay? They're taking a big chance. We talked about that.
Loaded, yep.
It was loaded, right? And what did we say? We said, well, they've got an opportunity because Call of Duty's hype is down this year. There's a lot of people not big on Call of Duty.
Yep.
We know the King's going to return. All of us were saying Halo's going to come back. We knew Halo was going to be big, but Battlefield could carve out its space and start recapturing some of that mind share if they stuck the landing. If they didn't stick the landing, we all were in agreement that it was going to be brutal. I said I was scared that this could be the last Battlefield game. I was scared that this could be DICE's last game. Now, with Zampella being put in charge of them, I don't think we're going to get to that point. I think it's too big of a franchise and that they're going to salvage. But I also said, I'm afraid that I'm going to wind up being the only guy on Battlefield playing with a bunch of bots. Okay, well, that's kind of coming to fruition. I think I saw the numbers. I think we're talking about 2,000 players concurrently, 3,000 players concurrently.
Yeah.
But that for a franchise as big as Battlefield, crazy. That is utter devastation. Yeah. Okay, that is something that should. Battlefield 5 has more players on it right now. Okay, that is called complete failure. But my point being is, how can regular gamers sit back and see the future better than these people making millions of dollars in charge of these billion-dollar companies that are supposed to be making these decisions? How can they, when the devs come to them after they just watched what happened to Cyberpunk, and your devs come to you and they say, look, we got problems. We need more time to fix this. And you still look them straight in the face and go,
you got 3 weeks.
You got 3 weeks. Congratulations. How is that possible, man? This is what frustrates me on. And this
I'll tell you how it's possible. It's this statement. Let me read this again. It says,
go ahead.
Miley acknowledged the company historically had bug issues with DICE games at launch, but said the bug count for Battlefield 2042 fell into the range EA expected when compared to other launches. The company therefore believed the issues would be manageable. That's why. That's the decision making.
But right. So once again, your analytics, instead of listening to the people create the game, your analytics are telling you it's going to be manageable. Again, how, as these people have been in this industry, in the business side of things for as long as we've been gamers in some cases, how can they not understand that the entire landscape of the industry has changed? This is not the Battlefield Bad Company days. This is not the Battlefield 3 days. This is not even the Battlefield 4 days where you guys were given a second chance and still wound up with a heck of a game. This is not that landscape anymore. And everybody, again, we talk about this on shows. Competition is fierce, right? We've seen Halo numbers drop, right? And we can have a discussion about why that's happening, right? But we talked about that on shows. Again, it's a great polished game. Everybody agrees upon that. But people have so many choices nowadays. If you do not keep them engaged, if you are not consistently dropping content or something interesting, people's attention spans are even less than what they were just 5 to 10 years ago. People will move on. And how can we know this, but they don't get this? This is the biggest frustration to me. You have one of your biggest franchises. You take extra time with this one. You say all the right things. You want to make it come back. You want to make it right this time. You're coming back modern day instead of the older warfare, which everybody's been clamoring for. You say you're going to do this right. You're introducing 128 player maps. Great. All that's fantastic. But how can you not understand the basics that if in this day and age, when you've got Halo returning, and you've got Call of Duty always around, even on its down years, it's still the #1 selling game.
Yep.
How can you sit back and not understand that you need to give your devs everything, including time, to get it right? Otherwise, this is the exact spot you're going to wind up in. How can we know this and they can't? And then when it does happen and you've got nobody except for the mirror to blame, and you honestly come out and have a town hall and blame one of your competitors for being just too good, and that's one of the reasons why your game isn't succeeding.
It's not fair. They're Michael Jordan, you know. Like
talk about complete lack of awareness, and then in those same quotes, admit that you still had problems with the Frostbite engine, which Vincent Pella has been telling you is a shit engine, and he would not create on it. I personally think it's a beautiful looking engine, but if it causes this many problems in development, this is your own engine that your own teams made and have been using for years, and you still telling me that you have such problems with the Frostbite that is costing your devs critical time to get their game polished, then maybe it's time to throw in the flag. Maybe it's time to call it what it is, and the Frostbite just can't get it done, and maybe start making other decisions going forward. But to come out with these excuses instead of saying, hey, we should have probably given our teams more time. And that's the biggest issue here.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, you said it yourself, the pandemic caused unique problems. Well, maybe instead of trying to squeeze it out just for your investors, right? For your bottom line numbers for that year end, instead of trying to squeeze it out, maybe think in the future, because you guys said that this had a long-term plan, that you were planning on supporting this game for a very long time. If that's the plan, then maybe think about that future, and that if you launched a polished Battlefield, all those people who have been waiting for one, waiting for a great Battlefield to return, all of them would have come flocking back in droves, and it would have been a hit. You wouldn't be in the situation.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when Phil Spencer made that tough decision to delay Halo for a year.
Correct.
Right. And this is the opposite decision. This is like 3 weeks instead.
And that, that's what I said. That's what I said in the opening, right, Mal? Like, you're complaining that Halo's so polished, but Halo's polished because they made the right decision. One of the most courageous decisions ever with a franchise that's even bigger than Battlefield, to delay it a year in a time that was absolutely critical to Xbox. They still made that decision. Battlefield, now that it's taken the downturn that it has through the years because you guys have screwed it up so much, is no longer a critical success. You even said that in the investor call. That's why you said the sales numbers don't matter. Battlefield's not important anymore, as important anymore as it once was. And you couldn't give those devs extra time to make sure it was right.
You know what's ironic too, dude? I'm sorry for interrupting, but the only reason that it actually did interrupt their launch is because it was delayed. Correct. Like, this all comes down to Halo being delayed in a way.
Correct. It is. Absolutely. But you knew it was happening. This wasn't a surprise launch. Again, you didn't know the exact date, but you knew the window. You talk all the time to Xbox. You guys knew where it was going to be in. You knew the time frame. Look, this shit frustrates me to no end because, again, armchair CEOs like us, are we always right? No. Could we go up there? Could I be the COO of EA and be good at it? No. I don't think I probably could. Okay. There's a lot more that goes into it than just this. But what I'm saying is these basic decisions when it comes to launching a game or not launching a game, or looking at a game and saying, you know what, we can't put this product out. This is going to cause more damage to our brand than if we delay it, especially in 2021, 2022. For us to be able to sit back and have better awareness when it comes to these scenarios than some of these big wigs, that's what frustrates me to no end. I just can't stand it because, again, and yes, am I a little bit more upset at this one because it's Battlefield? Absolutely. Battlefield is one of my favorite IPs of all time. And that goes back to the older Battlefields. That doesn't include the newer Battlefields that they've screwed up. I like Battlefield 1. Hardline was better than what people gave it credit for. It was an interesting idea. They just didn't execute on it. But Battlefield 5 came out with massive problems, but you go back and play it now. Matt Burns in the chat right now, he's a huge Battlefield 5 guy, absolutely loves it. Look,
he's a maniac. They came out,
they
Battlefield 5.
He is a maniac. He hates airplanes. So don't ever fly if Matt Burns is in the game and you're on opposite sides, because he will shoot you down. He hates airplanes. Look, they fixed it. And it's actually a really good game right now. You and I jumped back into it a long time ago, and we're just absolutely amazed by how great it looked. Again, Frostbite, when used right, is one of the best looking engines out there. But again, if it's causing your devs all these issues time and time again, it's time to wave the white flag, call it a day, and say maybe we just need to go back and not use the Frostbite anymore. But this shit frustrates me because I want Battlefield to be good. They had a unique opportunity. We talked about this, man. This was a once in a generation opportunity where Call of Duty is down. Again, it's still selling like crazy because that's what people do, but it's down in terms of hype. And you had a chance to drop in with a great modern shooter Battlefield, because Halo is a space shooter. Okay. It is. It's a sci-fi space shooter. It does not scratch that itch for me. And for a lot of people, you got to have that military battle, regular military. And this was the perfect setting, just a little bit into the future, but not too far. Perfect with all of that. All they had to do was nail it. Even a delay to this spring would have been so much better had the game come out.
It's in way better shape than it was even at launch, but even like it's, I mean, me and you have been actually enjoying the game, right? So this is more of, for us, I think, about damaging of the brand.
Yes,
and
correct.
And
absolutely,
what it's done to the brand and what it's done for potentially, hopefully, the future of the franchise, and is not going to be damaged because of this. Because we said it before, like, we were worried about the fans killing the brand themselves about of negativity for the game, but that's on the devs for putting out a buggy product in this day and age. You can't do it. It's not the old days, right? It's a different time. You got to read the room. You got to read and see what happened with, like you said, that's a great point. What happened with Cyberpunk, right? What happened with these other games? You can't, in this model, especially, right? So regardless of what model you choose, right? Like I'm critical of Battlefield for choosing to stay with this traditional $60, $70 model, just because I know that there's a barrier of entry there, right?
Correct.
And when there's all these other shooters out there to play, I know that's going to limit the player base. In this day and age now, when you can play Apex, you can play Halo Infinite, you can play Warzone, and you don't have to pay a dime if you don't want to. If you're charging $60, $70 for a multiplayer only experience, you better bring it, and it better come out super polished, right? Because if you don't, why is one of these people that's playing these great games for free that are super happy going to go and spend $70 on something that they hear is broken?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. You got to read the room. Now, if it's a free-to-play game, it's got to come out polished as well, right? Like, if it's a free-to-play, but the benefit in that case, you wouldn't have to have $60 to $70 worth of perceived content at launch, right? In that case, you can make a smaller focused experience and build up from there. Like Apex launched with one map, one mode.
Right.
It's an EA game.
Yep.
It's still successful, still going crazy, still great, right? But the one thing that it did is it launched really polished, right? Yeah, you have a Fortnite launch, the Battle Royale launched with one map and one mode. You had Halo Infinite has a lot less modes than it usually does, right? And it's going to build up over time. Warzone had one map and it had a like 1v1 or 2v2 and 3v3, but like you get the point. Like if you spend your time, focus on it, make a great piece of quality content, you can build it up over time. Or if you do choose this model, which there's still room for, I'm not going to say every multiplayer game has to switch to this, but if you do choose the model they chose, you can't do what they did and release it buggy in this day and age. And I have fear of other games in the future releasing as well.
Yep.
That we're used to the devs coming out with a lot of bugs at launch, and how it's going to be perceived if those games do come out buggy, or is it going to kill it? Right? I have fears of that too. Like Bethesda games always launch with a lot of bugs because they're overly ambitious and crazy, right? Like they're just insane.
And it's fine. They add character. They add character.
They do, but they add character. In this day and age, with the way that social media is and the people that pile on these games and spread all this stuff on Reddit and all these forums and all this stuff, like these games get killed, right? So I'm just saying Starfield better be more polished than any other Bethesda game at launch.
They could still get away with it, but they will.
You think so?
It will be.
You think?
Yeah, they could still.
I hope
if it's as good as Skyrim was, yes, they can get away with it.
Right.
They could get away with it this day and age. Yes, they would take a lot of heat for it. Yes, social media would be on fire, but there's too many people that would be talking about how great the game actually is. That it's like Skyrim. I don't know. I know it's going to come out more polished than any other Bethesda title. That's why they're taking this extra year. I know for a fact it's going to come out more polished than any other Bethesda title, so I'm not worried about it. But I think it could survive just because of who it is.
Right.
That's the only reason.
That's a fair point too, man. I just worry about that stuff because we called it before the game came out that this could happen. Yeah. You know, to Battlefield.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we knew it. We called it.
You kept saying that, and I'm like, man, I hope not. You know, but like, and it launched, and we're having a great time. But still, regardless,
I like the game.
We're Battlefield vets and played a lot of it. Steel too, played a lot of it. We were having a great time, but still, all the noise going around still affects the game.
Oh yeah, nowadays,
you know
because like you said, people are just going to hop out, and when you have to pay for it, the other big part about free to play is that if your game comes out and has issues, right? People will hop out. But if you fix it and people start going back into play, that barrier to entry is gone, and you have a chance for more people who avoided it in the first place, they don't have to spend the money to get into the experience. So people start coming back to it and say, wow, this game really improved. This is really great. Their friends can jump right into it. There's no barrier to entry whatsoever. And that helps. Again, right or wrong, we're seeing a lot of broken, unfinished games come out these days. That's kind of the way it is. Like you said, Mav, back in the day, we got a broken game. It was just broken. Nobody fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the way it was. They moved on. Okay. There was a time when you couldn't fix things, right? So there was a time before the internet where games couldn't be fixed, and we just had broken games, right? So now we have this opportunity to fix games. And I understand people that are frustrated because the devs seem to be okay with putting out buggier games and letting us test them. But these games are more ambitious than ever in history. A lot of these games are games that cannot be tested on the scale where they come out and there's more people playing them than ever before. And these bugs are found after the fact. And yes, do they sacrifice some play testing internally? I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's nowhere near the play testing that they used to be because they know that they can just patch it. So I understand that fact, and I can hear your complaining about that. That's just kind of where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. And unless everybody stops buying these games all at one time, we're not going to see changes. And you're never going to get enough people to stop buying games. Okay. So unfortunately, we're kind of at where we're at. So all we can do is, again, hope for the best. When a game comes out, it's not right, voice your complaints. Again, as a fan, I will put up with more. As a gamer, I'm not adverse to bugs like a lot of people are. I'm okay with them as long as they're not game breaking and as long as they don't cost me time. Battlefield was good, but it was not great when it launched. It's much better now. I have a great time every time I go in and play it. But again, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, everybody's invalid. Your complaints are invalid. No, because I know what problems everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of hate train that went on early on, but that's okay. Again, it's fine. It's part of nowadays. There's some things that, I look at Battlefield. Where's the Levolution, Mav? That was the biggest selling point of Frostbite was Levolution.
Yeah.
Oh, now you just got set pieces that are destructible.
Little cutscene
right. But the rest of it, bro, going back and playing Portal, we have such a great time at Portal going back to the Bad Company maps and that kind of stuff because I can use my sniper with the mortars and I can take down small buildings with people inside.
Yeah.
Those were the moments that were fantastic. That's all gone. And so that is a big problem for me. Like a lot of that stuff is absolutely gone. There's still some, but not now, 2022, it should be even more. Like when they were talking about the new Frostbite, they were showing, remember they showed all the buildings falling down? They're like, oh, Levolution on another scale.
Yeah.
I was expecting like total, like you could level pretty much everything in the game.
Yeah. Insane.
No, not even close. Now we can't even get damage on the buildings. Now we just get an explosion and there's nothing wrong. Look, that stuff bothers me because I think they had a chance, but we've gone on enough about Battlefield.
I got one more thing I want to add.
Go ahead.
Real quick.
Okay. Shoot.
I think still, even with all this going on, this Battlefield to me, in this state, still has more potential than any Battlefield in history.
Yes.
Because they can, if they get this right over time, and it does enter into like a Game Pass service or something, and they really nail all the complaints, all the concerns, add all the features back that are missing because of Portal. Because of we still only have the first batch of maps from the campaign, from the base game as well. Because of all that, over time, with added content and updates and stuff, mainly focus on Portal and adding a lot of stuff into there as well. I could foresee this at some point really taking off, but it's going to have to get there. Battlefield 5 for me,
and they're going to have to go to free to play.
Was rough at launch.
Yeah. It was bad.
Bad times.
Bad.
But last year, it was a magical experience, right?
Yep.
It's so amazing last year. Like, it's so great. They can do it, but it's going to take a concerted effort, and they really have to focus on it and just say, buckle down. We got to get this right for the fans, for the franchise, for the value of our IP. To do this, right? And to nail it and really put the focus in. Where the concern was before for us was that if a brand had enough damage to it, then a lot of times the games, what happens if the player base dies, so does the support. Right? Whereas if you don't have enough people playing, the company just kind of stops caring and they kind of move on from it and start developing another project, right? At that point, that's not necessarily a great thing either. Because for Battlefield, we want that game to be good still, and that's where the fans come in. And if the engagement completely is dead, I'm wondering what decision EA would make at that point, right? Now we already did see them double down on the Battlefield franchise with the Vince Zampella move and everything, but still, I think the problems have only gotten worse with them with the engagement and the numbers since then on the title. So I'm curious how they're going to fix it. They gotta nail it. They gotta do one of these things where it's like, okay, we're going to actually fix this one. I don't want them to pull an Anthem.
No.
Right?
And I think worst case scenario. Oh, I think that they just go free to play model. I think they have to, because again, that will entice people to come back as word of spreads if they do fix it. And I think they have to lean into the Portal map. They really have to lean into that mode, because everybody, for even the people complaining, yes, I know there's some people out there, I've heard plenty of people in the community say the Portal's great, but everything kind of feels off. It still doesn't give me that old Battlefield. Like it's there, the old Battlefield is there, but I'm missing some kind of feeling out of it. That's like the worst I've heard, but almost everybody who's gone in there has found great moments within Portal. If they expand those maps in Portal and really work on bringing back like all the maps from all the previous Battlefields and put them in there, they got a big chance. Make it free to play. People can hop back in, try it for themselves. No risk, anything, whatever else. Get in with some friends. I think they could drive the engagement back up again and then build from there, right? And then work on the core of the main new kind of 2042, but lean heavy first into that Portal and bring back that nostalgia. You'll always get people with nostalgia. Always.
Oh yeah. That's what Nintendo thrives off of. Gamer by Choice hit us with a $5 super chat. Pong Soul Sorry, it took me a little while to get to this one at Gamer by Choice. Just we got rambling on about Battlefield, but I want to make sure to get this real quick. So again, Gamer by Choice, $5. Appreciate it. Says, as someone who works with software, it is easy for officers to make decisions that are counterproductive to a great product. Great show, 100%. Yep,
Absolutely. Yep. We see it time and time again.
Yep.
And we'll do, yeah, if we're killed that one too, and why not? Let's let's roll in from one broken game to another, but one that is seemingly Mav making a comeback,
rising from the ashes,
and rising like a phoenix, and of course a cyber phoenix. This would be a neon lit up kind of phoenix, because Cyberpunk 2077 current gen patches finally dropped out of the blue this week. Of course, they couldn't even pull that off, right? Because of course the Xbox got the update that showed the X and the S before the patch actually launched, optimized, so everybody kind of knew it was coming, but it was still a shadow drop. They got the current patches out there finally. The PS5 version is kind of a pain, as we all know, because they obviously didn't think that they needed a system in place that would provide updates as easy as Xbox's does, right? So it was just a gimmick. Remember when everybody just said it was just a gimmick? But be that as may, the patches have dropped, and guess what, man? Guess what I've been seeing on my timeline? I and a couple of people were the only ones for a long time, every once in a while, posting some Cyberpunk playthrough or some Cyberpunk pictures, photos. All of a sudden, I got a timeline filled with the beauty of Night City, brother. Beauty of Night City. I know you've been busy this week, Mav. Have you downloaded the patch yet? Have you jumped into Cyberpunk? Any thoughts on it? I know you've probably been seeing the same thing I have. Suddenly, the Cyberpunk fan base is growing. Nobody wanted to talk about it before. Only a few of us were brave enough to raise our hands and say, it's a freaking fantastic game. You guys are missing out. If you got current gen, please go play it. Only a few of us were out there doing that. But Mav, what about you, man? What's up?
So I did install it, and then I was streaming, just kind of doing a hangout thing the other day, because I was pretty exhausted, didn't really want to play too much. But I did dive in then just to check it out. And two things. 30 frames is ass. Not even worth being the game unless you just want to take a picture, right? 60 frames mode is freaking gorgeous. Absolutely insanely beautiful. The city looks like it's like kind of come to life more. The characters look better. Everything I noticed, it just had this like new like smooth shine to it. And I was like, yeah, okay. This is like nothing I've seen really before as far as like a open world RPG. So that's like what I think a lot of people expected when they first booted it up, back around launch time. And it was that kind of level that we've seen from like a lot of their trailers and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, yeah, here we go. The other aspect, I completely forgot how to play the damn game, and the controls, I can't remember anything except how to point and shoot. I'm gonna restart, clean slate, create a new character, go back from the very beginning, and really get enthralled and invested into this game, because it deserves that, right? It deserves that, and mainly one of the main reasons I think it deserves it, that it gets overlooked by all the negativity that was surrounding it after launch, is the story is incredible in this game. It is such a well done story, and like it's like Blade Runner vibes, like all this kind of stuff. And there's not many RPGs out there, or any games really, that can deliver this level of story, right? This high quality, and with voice acting, with the writing, with the characters models, with everything is just top notch, right? So I want to dive back in and experience the story from the start and really get into it, because it's worth it. I'm actually glad I waited now, and because I would be less likely to go through a full playthrough than if I did finish my playthrough before. Because now I think I'm going to be rewarded more with all the eye candy and stuff like that, right? So, dude, it's great. it goes to show that like no matter like how bad things get, things can improve. I've seen a lot of positivity about Cyberpunk since this has happened. So hopefully that negativity, that negative train is behind them, and it's going to hopefully just be positivity now and new updates and new stuff coming out, DLC down the line, and tons of awesome stuff for Cyberpunk because I think it's a franchise that needs to stick around. I think it's worthy of that. So, what about you, man? You got
Yeah.
your eyes pop out of your skull when you saw
No,
it?
no. Nobody's gonna believe this, but some of us out here who have played Shizno and their HR bombers in the chat, I know they've both been putting a lot of hours. I'm at almost 250 hours.
Yeah.
Patch 1.3.1. If I put that in front of everybody, if for all the people who didn't play it, right?
Yeah, I haven't
and
played
who
it
had no idea.
early.
Yeah, if I put that version in front of them and said this is the current gen version, there would have been people who said that looks gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
With as many hours as that I have into it, I can definitely see the difference, right? And for somebody like you who played it like originally and now coming into it now, I can see where the big difference is. Like I can feel and see the difference. But honestly, patch 1.3.1 is very close. I mean, it you wouldn't have noticed much unless you played a lot of it, the difference between that one and this one, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But there is a polish to this now. That is a next step up. There's just small little things that I've noticed as I've been playing through that just feel so much better than they did before. So that kind of stuff is definitely there. You know, like you were saying, Mav, this game, CD Projekt Red, prior to Cyberpunk launch, was considered the golden child of Western RPGs because of Witcher 3. Okay. I'm going to try to complete Witcher 3, my third and final attempt once they get that new current gen patch out. Witcher 3 just never clicked with me, battle wise. Okay. I just never got into it. But story wise, side missions that I did play through, I saw how great they were at writing. Cyberpunk's writing is top notch. Okay. CD Projekt Red knows how to create characters. They know how to create stories. They know how to create little side stories that you in other games would never think twice about, but you get wrapped up into almost more so than even the main story. And 250 hours in, and yes, about somewhere probably about 50 hours plus of that is spent in photo mode and just driving around the city, listening to music, taking in the sights. Okay. So that's not all just straight gameplay, but I still have not completed my first playthrough. That's my first playthrough and I'm still not there. I'm still finding side missions that catch me completely off guard. I've just played 2 of them over the past week that were like
big side missions, dude.
Oh my God. Yes. Continuing side missions. You get done with one part that's a small side mission. Those characters come back to you and all of a sudden you're part of something much, much bigger. And those side missions are so well written. Those characters are so well done that I care about what's happening. Right. Jackie, and there's not going to be any spoilers, but Jackie is such a small part of the story overall when you get into this game, but he left one of the biggest impressions upon me of all time. I want an origin story for Jackie. And anybody who's just jumping in will get to know Jackie very well. That kind of stuff is not done by accident. That is talent. That is writing talent that is off the charts. That is Oscar worthy. That is movie worthy. That is TV show worthy. And CD Projekt Red has those types of people in-house. And so for me, Cyberpunk, again, continues to give and give and give. 200 plus hours in, it's still giving to me. There's only a few games that have done that. Skyrim being the other one, right? Oblivion being the other one. There's only a handful of games that can do that after that much time where you're just like, you know what? It's time to just mainline it. I'm just going to do main missions, right? I'm just going to get through this. I want to get done with this. 200 hours in, I'm not there. And again, it's not for everybody. I'm not sitting here saying this game is going to appeal to everybody. There's still people I've seen say, oh, I tried it. It's meh. I got too much other stuff to play. I'm not going back to it. Okay, cool. That's not a problem. But for those of us that have been captured by Night City and now all the new people jumping back in or for the first time going out and getting this game because of this current gen patch, y'all are in for a treat. There really is something special about this game. And again, is it perfect by any stretch of imagination? No, there's still bugs. Okay. Yeah. There's still bugs there. But at the end of the day, this is CD Projekt Red taking another step over The Witcher 3 and going even bigger than they did in The Witcher 3 and really creating a world that you could believe in. Did they live up to all of their ambitions? No, but as you and I talked about, Mav, well, I'll never fault a dev for having too high of ambitions because that's how we push this industry forward. Did they talk a lot about like the NPCs of the world, the regular people walking? Were they supposed to be much more engaging and have their own lives and all that kind of? Yeah, they did kind of promise that stuff. At the end of the day, did they fulfill it? No, not to every degree. But when you're walking around in Night City and you're just walking around, and you're not looking for problems, you're not looking for bugs, you're not looking for details. If you're just experiencing the city, that's a believable world. And again, there's very few devs who pull it off to this scale. That's why CD Projekt Red, I want this to succeed. I'm so happy to see people getting excited about Cyberpunk again. I've started posting more over the past couple of days to add to that excitement some of the stuff that I'm seeing again, because I'm so happy, because I want CD Projekt Red to not be afraid to come back to this game.
Yeah.
That's what I don't want to have. I don't want this to be a one and done, because they do have something real here. In a Cyberpunk sequel down the road, right? Even if it comes at the beginning of next gen or whatever the case may be, they learn their lessons, whatever it is. I just want a Cyberpunk 2. Okay. Period. I want them to come back to this world with all the lessons they learned and all the stuff that they still have yet to fulfill ambition wise, because I think they deserve it. And I think this world deserves it. Cyberpunk as a whole, it's a great tabletop game. And to see it visually represented with this, brother, it's love at first sight for me. This is a world that I would honestly want to go visit. Yeah, it's violent. Yeah, it's all that kind of stuff. I would survive 2 minutes. Let's be real here. Okay. I understand that, but I'm saying I would love to go see Night City in real life, because there's so much to see, do, and find. And it continues. Like I said, it's like Skyrim. You just never know that next corner. You never know what you're going to find around that corner. You never know who's going to pop up on your telephone that's going to give you a next great little side adventure that turns into something much greater than you ever thought it was, that it's going to have actual emotional impact. There has been a few side missions in this one that have honestly had emotional impact on me. And that's so rare nowadays in video games, even though we've got all these big worlds and all these great adventures. For me, it's still rare to find one that grabs me that way, but CD Projekt Red knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So excited, man. Beyond excited to see this happen. Again, I joke around, all the new fans, all these people, that was probably some of those that were actually on the hate train that did happen when Cyberpunk first launched, people who never even picked it up once and just threw it away in the garbage and said it was trash without ever knowing for sure what they were missing or what they could experience at Cyberpunk. Yeah. Sure, there's some of those now that are fans, and I'm happy for it. I make jokes, but I'm happy for it because, again, I want to see Cyberpunk around for a long time. And hey, they did have plans for a standalone multiplayer that they canceled last year. If this comes back enough, we might get that standalone multiplayer too, which would be awesome, man. I'd love to try it out and see what it's all about and see what kind of ideas they had, creatively speaking, for this world and for that multiplayer. But again, more than anything, I want to see DLC, which they've already talked about. They are planning on doing some big DLC drops, but I also want to see a sequel come about at some point, even if it's 8 years from now. I don't care. I just want to see it happen because this world is so cool, man. This is one of the best representations of Cyberpunk out there. And they got screwed out of best soundtrack at the Game Awards. This, again, going back and listening to all these radio stations, there is this is Vice City level type music on this game. And go, like I said, just go drive around. If you're trying out for the first time, go drive around and switch through the radio stations and just hear what they've done and all the talking in between and the radio personalities that they have are fantastic. They're up there with Grand Theft Auto. It really is. It's awesome. So yeah, go try it out. It's on sale right now. Xbox for, I think, $28 on sale right now. If you did not get those holiday $10 sale where everybody
They
was
also have
blowing
like
through
a
the stock.
5-hour trial or something like that.
5-hour
right?
trial. Yep. And your progress will carry over. So you can go try it out. And if you decide to buy, your progress will carry over. You don't lose anything. It's fantastic. It's great. I would love to see it drop in Game Pass. Speaking of Game Pass, when we were Battlefield, I think that would have been extra special, Mav. That would have really driven people to this game.
Around that,
yeah,
but it didn't end up happening. Maybe
didn't
eventually.
happen.
I mean, Witcher 3 it hit Game Pass at some point, didn't it? So
yeah,
I wouldn't pull it past and eventually put this in there as well.
Yep,
Sometimes
exactly.
it goes on sale right before it hits games hit Game Pass because they try and get as many sales as they can before knowing that it's about to hit a subscription service, right? So just throwing that out there. It's I wouldn't pull it past them pulling something off like for later this month or early next month. Yeah, dude, it's great news. Cyberpunk.
It is. And Mr. Xbot, the game, he said the game was great except for one thing: the driving was atrocious. They have fixed that. It's still not. It's still not. Great. I'm not gonna say this is like some magical driving experience that you're going to have, but they actually put different suspensions in each vehicle, and you can definitely tell it is much better to drive now in Night City than it was.
I tried driving the motorcycle, and it felt better than it did previously. Yes. And also aiming and the gunplay was better.
Yep.
They did a lot. That was part of the patch. I think they mentioned that. I really could tell when I was shooting the guys. I was like, oh, this feels more just like a regular first-person shooter instead of an RPG that's trying to be a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah, and they rebalance a lot. I do have some issues with the rebalancing. I knew it was going to happen, but they really screwed me over in some of the rebalancing. Like my build got destroyed. Wow. Like they used to have it. Well, they took away the clothing mod slots. Some of the clothing had like 4 mod slots and that you could have mods in. Yeah. They cut it down to 1 and 2. And then they took some of the, like and it's not like they dish out mods like candy, but they don't dish out good mods like candy right in this game. So it takes a while for you to find good stuff. Well, I had a bunch of critical damage modifiers and critical percent chance modifiers on my clothing.
Oh, so you're just dealing high crits like all the time.
Yeah, high crits with both my hacks and with like sniper rifles, headshots. I was dealing huge damage, right? They took all those out and they changed some of the mods to only be applicable to like certain types of clothing, like your hat, and all the hats are like basically 1 mod slot now. And then as a replacement, they gave me a bunch of street cred XP mods. Brother, I am max street cred. Street cred is like the easiest thing to get in the game, but they gave me street cred experience mods. Are you serious right now?
You were born with street cred, man. You don't need no street
I was
cred.
Born. I was, but I'm maxed out in Cyberpunk.
Okay.
So yeah, they destroyed my build. So I had to go back through and fix all that and try to figure out what I was going to do. Still okay, but they definitely made the game a little more challenging than it was previous to this. But like you said, Matt, they did fix the aiming. A lot of that stuff feels a lot better than it did before. They also ruined some of my weapons too, but whatever, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
It's still such a fantastic game. So
cool, man.
Yep.
Awesome.
Anything
else happened crazy in this world of gaming? I don't know if anything else did.
No, I mean, unless you want to touch on Nintendo stores closing real quick. We can touch on Nintendo stores closing.
Yeah, we need to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. So, so for anybody who didn't heard, Nintendo announced officially this week that they are going to close the Wii U and 3DS digital stores in 2023. Nintendo fans look, I have seen some, what I will say is this story here, Mav, and I don't know, I'll hear if you have this story here, because I do follow people in the Nintendo community. Again, I like to see what's going on everywhere.
Yeah,
I do follow the Nintendo people. This story did cause more of a stir than most of the stuff Nintendo does.
Yeah,
I will say that. Again, comparatively speaking to when Sony does something or Xbox does something, like we're talking about nothing. But I'm saying for the Nintendo community, this actually did cause some head scratching. I actually saw a couple people criticizing it, which was like, whoa, you're about to have your Nintendo license revoked. You might be banned from the console. You might want to cool down there, buddy. Okay. So, but I did see that, which is rare. So yeah, I guess for you, Mav, again, this goes into for me at least, I should say, and I want to hear your opinion, but this goes into everything we've been talking about: backwards compatibility, bringing your content forward. If we are going to an all digital age or moving in that direction, I want to know that my digital purchases are going to be protected. This also touches on the fact that Nintendo absolutely despises anybody who goes out there and pirates their stuff, which most companies do, but Nintendo definitely goes after them hardcore. We just had a guy go into prison for this kind of thing because Nintendo pushed it and the FBI got involved. But at the same time, if you're not going to sell me your games, what do you want me to do? Right. And we know Nintendo has a long history of doing this stuff, not giving people the option to buy, maybe 3-5 years down the road, repackaging a couple of the games and reselling them to us for full price again.
And I say 3 months at a time.
Yeah, for 3 months at a time, really making it difficult to enjoy the history that is Nintendo, unless you own all of their previous consoles, handhelds, etc., and you happen to have purchased all those games. Really, you're kind of stuck between a hard and a rock place. If you're coming into Nintendo fresh and you want to experience these games, they're really closing down places where you can do that at now. So, Matt, for you, when you heard about this, did you get those same feelings, brother? Like, God, Nintendo, here we go again. Like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to play your games, right? Again, where is the history? Where are you maintaining your history? How am I supposed to enjoy this stuff in the future? What does my grandkids in the future want to go buy Nintendo and experience what I did in the Wii U, and your stores and all the products are gone and they can't experience the whole life? I mean, what is it, man? What is it with Nintendo? Why did they do this, man?
They get away with so much, man. As a consumer, I have lost all trust in Nintendo in this digital age. Right? It worked fine in the old days, right? Physical content, we were used to, things only working on the system that it was made for at the time, right? It's just the way it was. Digital age doesn't have to be like that. It's just pointless to be like that. At that point, it only when and here's the definition of their model. The fact that they did do that game, that Mario package, and they released it for only 3 months tells you everything you need to know about their mindset and how they care about their customers. They treat their customers like shit. I made a tweet and I just said that point blank. Nintendo treats their customers like shit. Who does that benefit by releasing a game for 3 months?
Right.
Does it benefit the consumer? No. It doesn't benefit anybody but Nintendo, because they can vault it and they can sell it to you again later and have it as another big, like, oh, we're re-releasing this product again.
To your point, Mav, 1,799 titles are going away with disclosure. Yeah. 1,800 titles, okay? Because it includes like DS, Game Boys that were playable on the 3DS, all that stuff is going away.
Yeah.
1,800 titles. And Nintendo's online statement originally included a suggestion. Originally, they removed this, Mav, because they knew the PR hit. Nintendo's online statement originally included a suggestion that people who want to play its older games in the future should get a subscription to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you don't have the internet? We've got a system for you. Where we heard this before, Donnie D, right? Xbox 360. Bro, you can't make these kind of statements to your fan base. Oh, God.
The other aspect of this is they're gonna make it to where that's the only avenue to access those games is a subscription. This is coming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what their whole system of backwards compatibility is. And are they going to probably raise the price even more when that hits?
Oh, they'll have the most expensive service out of the big three. Watch. At the end of the day, they'll have the most expensive one.
Which also tells me if they do that, means those games are playable in the Switch. On the Switch. How complicated would it be for them to have a process for you to transfer over your licenses, and from your one account to your Switch account?
Right.
How about do that for your fans to where you can have access and move those 18,000 titles into that Switch storefront? Because if you're going to have those titles available in a subscription service, that means they're playable on that platform. And you can't tell me they're not at that point, right?
Right.
At that point, you have moved stuff that people have previously bought onto another ecosystem, forcing them to subscribe to a service for a product that they've already purchased in the past. Tell me another platform that could get away with this. It's ridiculous. And people were criticizing me on the, like, one guy, especially on my tweet, saying that, comparing it to like PlayStation storefront on the PS3 and Vita when they were announced that they were closing those, but that got reversed because the fans spoke up. I highly doubt Nintendo's going to reverse course here.
Oh, no. Nintendo don't care.
They don't care. Because guess what? The people that aren't in the know, that don't know anything, are just going to go out and buy it. And this has pretty much cemented, especially with that statement that did get deleted, to me, that unless things change with Nintendo, unless they make a commitment to digital purchases moving forward from here on out, and until they have something better to play on, even, period, I'm just absolutely 100% done with them as a consumer, because they treat us like shit. They do. Compared to Xbox, compared to PlayStation, compared to the PC, whole PC ecosystem and marketplace. Why would you do this to yourself and go and invest in a game and buy a license for a game, not knowing if you're going to be able to enjoy it on the platforms that they have in the future? They could be taken away from you and moved onto a subscription model to where that's the only avenue of access. People that want to say, well, Game Pass is a subscription model. You can buy your games in Game Pass still. Plus, also, games that you already purchased are still there with backwards compatibility. The ones that are functional or don't have licensing issues, they're all there, right? Xbox titles, Xbox 360 titles, Xbox One titles, and Xbox Series S and X titles, all in the same ecosystem. PlayStation's got some issues too with their back compat, but it sounds like they're working on a solution. I hope it's not this one. It sounds like it could potentially be what Nintendo's doing. We'll see how that goes, but I'm just saying, like, at least with the Vita and the PS3, you have another model access to buy those games, right?
Yeah, correct.
With them
For the
keeping
time
that
being.
storefront open for the time being until they shut that down. And guess what? People gave them crap for this very reason. Rightfully so. As much everybody should Nintendo. Because if people actually start speaking up and there becomes, guess what? Negativity can, like, sometimes negativity is used for a good reason, right? This negative vibes here about this Nintendo thing, what they're doing, could spread and actually cause them a problem, to where they actually have to look at themselves and be like, wait, okay, maybe we need to adjust things here, right? But it's going to take a lot more than it's been, because it's very little.
Funny how they planned this, Mav, right after one of their best directs in a long time.
Oh, 100%. They knew that. They're like, we're going to go all out on this thing, then we're going to make this announcement right after.
Right.
Like, it's just baffling how much they get away with. And again, you want to say, like, well, they make great games. They make polished games. Yeah, because they're what they are. I mean, they're like small, focused experiences. Some of them are like a lot of gameplay, like Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and stuff like that, like RPG. Yeah. But like, they're all. It's like I just can't. I don't know. Nintendo is so beyond the normal gaming ecosystem now. There's just something else completely different that has completely carved out this own ecosystem of taking advantage of consumers and also just getting away with it. And it's like, oh, it's okay. We're Nintendo. We're going to keep making our things and you're going to keep buying it. And that's it. And guess what? I got something and you're only going to be able to buy it for 3 months and I'm going to pull it. And then you're going to be able to buy it again later. And these 18,000 titles that they just pulled, how many of those could potentially
1,800.
1,800, sorry.
Yeah.
1,800. Yeah, that'd be
18,000.
crazy. 1,800 titles that they pulled. How many of those could they potentially come out with again to rebuy? Right?
Of course.
I mean,
Of course. And then they're going to drip feed their service, right? Over time.
Yep.
To keep people in it, right? This is what their plan, right? They don't have to go do what Sony and Xbox are doing, right? With third party. They'll just drip feed their own old titles back into that service, always giving some people, oh, look, we just gave you 2 more of the DS titles in there. Stay. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. I just don't get it, dude. It's like, treat me with respect, as a consumer. That's all we want. That's all we want. We want to be respected. And you can say, well, everything Xbox and Sony does is for their own benefit. Yeah, it is. But there's a ground where you can have where it benefits the business, but it also is beneficial for the consumer, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense what they're doing with this, dude. It's just slimy. It's slimy. It's super slimy. And nobody will be able to convince me otherwise. I was considering even looking at getting another Switch again just to get Fantasy Triangle, the Triangle Fantasy game.
Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy, yes. Because it is a Final Fantasy Tactics, like, spiritual successor, kind of. And that's one of my favorite franchises of all time. But no more. No, I'm taking a stand. I'm going to vote with my wallet. The word is the phrase. I actually vote with my wallet here. I'm going to take a stand. No more. I'm done with you, Nintendo. I am absolutely 100% done until you change. Who's with me?
Good for you.
Who's with me?
Good for you, Mav. Good for you. Bowser, are you listening? Mav has drawn the line in the sand, right? So this is it. If you want Mav back, you got a lot of work to do, brother.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna take the Switch off of the FSP logo.
Oh man. No, it is stupid. Nintendo out of all the big 3 have the easiest path to complete backwards compatibility because of how their systems have been built. Like they would have the easiest path.
Yep.
Like Sony has its own challenges because it created, cell processor and all these different chipsets.
They keep making weird shit to be able to put
right, exactly. Yeah. Right, exactly. Nintendo would have the easiest path due to technology to be able to make them all backwards compatible at some point and offer some type of real value to their customers.
Well, we know it's possible because you can do it on PC right now. Like
correct,
like crazy,
Correct. And again, don't promote pirating. But at the end of the day, if a company refuses you to sell you something, at what point is that fair game, right? That's a big question, and I think it's a fair question to ask. Phil's talked about this, that, he wants to get he's got a dream of getting the entire industry together, and at some point, when games are no longer of value to a company or whatever the case may be, that they go into a vault and that they find some kind of cloud solution so that future generations are able to play those games no matter how old they are, no matter what system they were on, because at some point it's not going to be feasible for people to own all of these old systems and play these old games anymore. And we've already lost throughout history a ton of content that will never be back again because of floppy disks, right? Mm-hmm. All sorts of different things have happened. And Phil truly does believe that he wants to get the industry together and move towards a vault situation to protect this content for future generations. And I think it's a fantastic idea. But like he admitted, that's a big ask of a lot of these companies, right? Especially someplace like Nintendo, who probably 50 years from now will be repackaging Mario Sunshine and selling it to the masses for $100, right? So, that's their plan. But again, something's got to be done because I think this content needs to be protected, and for people not to be able to purchase 1,800 titles, that's kind of a big deal. So that's why we want to talk about it here. I know not everybody likes Nintendo talk, but again, we are not console centric here. We're just going to talk about everything happening. And this is a big thing because it goes back to preservation and really what it means to the consumer, and going forward, your digital content following you from place to place, no matter what. Again, anybody who hasn't been listening, that's Xbox's version of the meta. right? The metaverse to Xbox is one big happy place where all your content is available no matter where you purchase it at. So they're going to try to drag everybody, including Nintendo, with. Nintendo will be the last one to go, but they're going to try. So hopefully it gets done someday. So, anyways, fantastic show, brother. Do you have anything else you want to touch on personally, sir?
I want to get to the super chat real quick from Gamer by Choice. Thank you very much, sir, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. He says, I have not owned Nintendo since SNES, but everyone that is on YouTube complains about their practices, but yet they keep buying the games. LOL. Yep, 100%.
Respect that hustle.
And
respect it.
Each time that something else comes out big, the hype that is generated is crazy. We were excited about the Nintendo Direct. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I got excited.
Stuff to look at here, and then they do this. I'm like, you almost got me, Nintendo, you son of a bitch. You know, you almost got me, you sly son of a bitch. Like you show me some cool stuff, and then you reminded me of who you are, right? So thank you for reminding me before I bought it again for the third time.
You did that, Nintendo. You had Mav on the rope. You had me on the ropes too, by the way.
Yeah.
I tweeted at you for the first time ever. And then you turn around and do this. Oh, man. Anyways, Clowns, good to see you, brother. Thanks for dropping in here. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So if you got nothing else, Mav, we can get everybody out of here.
Yeah. Let's do that.
This was fantastic. This was a fast 2 hours, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Flew by. I love it. I love these chats, man. Anyways, it was a great show. Great time. PM in the PM episode. What number are we on anyways now, brother? Do you even know?
15, I think. I don't
15
know.
already?
I think
Dang,
so.
man. Well, we're getting up there somewhere in that neighborhood, but thank you all for joining us. It was awesome chat. You guys were absolutely amazing. Really good conversations in there. Love to see that engagement, man. Love it, because that means we're hitting topics that mean something, and Mav and I are on point with picking these ones out. So thank you all for joining us tonight. But Mav, brother from another, fun speculation. Caitlin's husband. I should just go by that. I'm joined by Caitlin's husband this evening. That's what I should start saying. Look, where can everybody find you? What you got going on for the rest of the weekend? And are you going to be streaming anything anytime soon? And are you going to go male or female in Cyberpunk? And are you going to use the dong slider? Yes or no?
Can I be both at the same time?
You can. They do allow that in
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm probably going to go female, because I think my main character last time was male, just so I get like the different aspects.
Female voice actor, the female actress in this one is excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll probably go that route. And I actually want to stream this from the beginning again and kind of start a playthrough. But then, you know what? Then I got to turn off those like certain sliders that I don't necessarily want to as well. So, you know what? Maybe I won't stream Cyberpunk. I'm just going to go and have a great time with it. But other than that, I'll be playing more Halo Infinite, because we're still loving that. I want to get back into Battlefield again, man. Like, I really do. I always enjoy it when we play.
Every time we play, we have a great time, man.
Every time we do, dude. It's like we have a blast. We get sucked into, like, we usually play like 5 or 6 games at least, and just have a blast playing it. Rainbow Six Extraction, still loving that. Dying Light 2, man. I mean, holy shit. The one game I want to give a shout out that I really that I'm interested in, I don't know if I'm going to get it right away. I might like wait a few weeks and hope that it goes on sale, is
I know what you're going to say.
King of Fighters 15 is dropping. And guys, this game, like, we don't have a lot of these 2D fighters out there, you know, that are coming out, these big, you know, AAA style old school releases of like these 2D fighters like Street Fighter and stuff like that. But King of Fighters 15 looks like they really stepped up their game for this release. And even if you go and look at the Omega edition, which is the one I usually don't buy physical, but man, that Omega edition of this game is crazy. They got a 119-page art book. They got 3 lithographs in there. They got the soundtrack and the actual CD format.
That's freaking amazing.
They got all of this stuff. Right? It's like $89.99, I think, which is like, it's plus DLC is included in that as well. I haven't seen, this is like, reminds me of the old days of like when these great collector's editions first started coming out, right? And they're all like $79, $89. And I remember Blaze Blue when it first had like a collector's edition when it came out. There used to be so many amazing ones. This reminds me of that, and I think that this game is going to be good. Early reviews are really positive as well, so that's something I'm keeping my eye on 100%. So I may be streaming that if I get it. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get it, but I am going.
Are you
to
doing Lost
eventually get
Ark?
it. I downloaded it. I tried to get into the servers once, but it was full.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I decided to
Okay.
wait, and I'm going to try diving in. But then now I got to install Total War Warhammer 3, and I don't know if I'm going to do that first or I'm going to do Lost
Oh
Ark.
yeah.
Oh
God,
man,
I'm so jealous this week of PC players. Like
yeah,
this is
dude.
one of those weeks where I'm like, oh, God,
It's like, dude, it's like the gaming. I can't keep up with it. I've had less time really this past week to really dive into as much as I want. There's so many things I want to play, dude. Like I don't even care about Horizon Forbidden West right now or Elden Ring, just because there's so
right.
much other stuff. Right? There's just so much other stuff. Sifu looks great as well. I see people out there playing that. Again, like these games are like I'm gonna buy them down the road when they're cheap, at some point. Man, I'm gonna have a hard time waiting on King of Fighters, and maybe supposedly online's great on it as well with the net code and stuff
Yeah.
that they got.
They have great net code. Yes.
So, man, that's what I'm hoping I'll be streaming. We'll see. Other than that, Halo Infinite, of course, and but guys, yeah, this was supposed to be my outro. I got sidetracked on King of Fighters 15. Check out everything we got coming up on Fun Speculation here on YouTube. Tomorrow night is Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central. We're gonna have a blast, absolute blast as always. Saturdays is Fun Speculation Podcast with Key and Fuzzy. It's gonna be a blast there as well. Always have great conversations. That's a different show too because we do cover all consoles and all of gaming in that show. We might have some more thoughts on Nintendo again this week. We had positivity last week with the Direct. This week, maybe not so much. And then, as always, guys, Wednesdays is Fun Pop. We had a fun show last night. It was a blast. So check out all our stuff, and then our game streams, and then our videos, and Kate's little news updates, and all this stuff, guys. We're trying to bring you lots of content, and I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. Appreciate it. You'd be surprised, Pong, how many of the viewers on the channel, if you look at the analytics, are actually not subbed to your channel. It's actually crazy. So I appreciate any of the subs. They do help us grow. Although, regardless, I just appreciate if you even checking us out, guys. But other than that, Pong, I know you got a lot of stuff going on, man. What do you got planned for this week?
Yeah, so back at it tomorrow night, obviously. Yeah, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, you all know the drill there. So tomorrow night, obviously, I'll be there. Work's been carrying me over on Fridays, but I always show up no matter what on Xbox Ultimate. So I will be there tomorrow night at some point, depending on how the workday goes. Of course, and then Saturday, living split screen. You know the drill. Look, we're on mission 1K. Steele and I are really trying here. Steele and I are so damn busy. We don't have time to do the extra content that people absolutely love. I wish we did. Hey, anybody know anybody out there that wants to pay us? We will do this 6 days a week and talk for 4 to 8 hours a day. Don't care if you want to pay us. I'll do it. I love doing this stuff, and I wish I had the time to make content. We are mission 1K. We want to get to 1K subs, so please come by Saturday morning and check out Living Split Screen. Split Screen, all one word. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Spread the word. I usually put out a tweet earlier in the morning on Saturday. Please spread it around if you see it. Bring a friend or 2 or 5. Let them see our content, see if they like the 2-man format like we got going here, where it's just me and Steele going back and forth. We get the chat involved, all that kind of stuff. So please check us out, Living Split Screen, Saturday morning. And then obviously Saturday night, the Shop Podcast with the great PTK Blam, who jumped in this chat. Fuzzy Belvedere, another friend, brother from another in this community, and myself. We get your Saturday night ending on the right note. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Fantastic show over there. PTK deserves more viewers as well. The Shop Podcast is awesome. And then Tuesday next week, back at it. Xbox Factor Podcast, Mr. Boomstick, Double Barrel Gaming. Mr. Boom dropped in here too. Awesome, awesome dude. Look, come check us out. All things Xbox. Tuesdays have been a great slot. Like news drops on Tuesdays, right? So this has been crazy. Yeah. Like Boom picked a perfect time to have that show. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Mav is always there when he can be. Archimedes is there when he can be. Mr. Joanna Dark, myself. And so please drop on. Oh, a VJ. VJ is now a part of that show as well. The fantastic, amazing VJ himself has joined Xbox Factor Podcast because 3-Bit finally had to retire. Unfortunately, he is too busy for Tuesdays. So join us there. And then otherwise, next week on the 23rd, the one, the only Outbreak Dave from Outbreak Podcast. I'm going to put his link in the chat. I did an interview. Mav did an interview with him. Boom's done an interview with him. I did an interview with him. My interview is premiering next week to the 23rd at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please go check out Outbreak Dave and his podcast over there and his interviews. Dude is awesome. Really good content. Go check out his channel and sub if you like what you see over there for sure. So that will be next week on the 23rd. Otherwise, back here next Thursday for PM in the PM. Look, it's the golden age of gaming, people. If you cannot tell by now, I cannot help you. So I'm just going to keep battering it into your brains until you dream about it. The golden age of gaming is here. Go out there and enjoy it. Please do it. Play what you love what you play. Do it. Like all the memes, the different memes that are out there. Yeah, right. Exactly. Play what you love what you play. Let nobody steal your hype for this industry or your excitement for a game or whatever the case may be. Go try the games. Don't let opinions sway you. Don't let Metacritic scores ruin it. Just go try it. And if you like it, guess what? Continue to like it. That's all I got to say. Talk to you all real soon. Love you all. Thank you for being here. Nothing but love and respect for everybody in this chat and everybody who listens to us later. Talk to you all real soon.
Bye, everybody. And remember, do it.